We're back again with another stimulus check update for you. And today we have a very special topic. We're going to be talking about the Stimulus Check 2 update. Direct deposit, $1,200 check. After today's vote, we're going to get right into it for today's second stimulus check update for August 22nd, 2020. And I'm going to let you know my reasons why this can happen. Okay. And make sure first that if you haven't already, definitely subscribe using the big red button below and hit the thumbs up also as well. That way YouTube can get this video in front of more people as well. And we're going to start off today. We have a few things. We're going to talk about an attempt at a negotiation discussion by one of the four negotiators, as you all know, that have been negotiating the stimulus package, the next stimulus package, which includes the second stimulus check of $1,200 to also as well. And we're also going to talk about, which that is good news, and we're also going to talk about one of the representatives' speech that was made today in the House of Representatives when they did the debates before doing the House vote to pass the post office bill to give the post office an additional $25 billion in funding. And the first thing we're going to start off with the representative's speech. And this is coming from a representative by the name of Tom Cole. And Tom Cole is a United States representative from Oklahoma, pretty much. And he's going to talk about his take pretty much on if he feels whether or not this post office bill should pass, and also what he feels should be added into the bill and how this post office bill can possibly get passed through the Senate and signed by the president, and what is needed. And good news for us in his speech too also as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to hear a little bit from Representative Tom Cole from the state of Oklahoma. Let's listen in.
My friends say that we're going to hear a lot of bad things about the Postmaster General in the course of the morning. I've never met him. I don't know him. The people that I do know say he's a really good guy, but I don't know. But we're going to hear a lot of terrible things about him. But at the end of the day, my friends are going to vote to give me $25 billion. And they're going to do it in a bill that has no reforms in it. Just says you can't change anything. Now, how smart is that? You can't change anything in an institution that's losing $8 to $9 billion every single year. We don't trust the person who heads this, but we're going to give me $25 billion. Do we need that money? Absolutely not. Post office tells us they have $15 billion on hand. They have access to a $10 billion line of credit that will more than take them for a year from now. So we don't need to be spending this money right now. It's a silly, silly bill. But I want to give my friends some free political advice. They want to pass this bill. They want to get it through the Senate. They want to get it to the president's desk. They want to get it signed. I believe that. If that's true, make it bigger. Do exactly what my friend, the distinguished chairman of the committee said. Now, let's put some stuff on it that we agree on. The President of the United States says, I think every family in America that makes less than $75,000 a year needs help right now. They need $1,200 per adult, $500 per kid. That'd be $3,400, a one-time payment for a family of four. Attach that to this. It passed the floor unanimously in a bipartisan fashion, be picked up by the Senate. The president has already said through his chief of staff, I'll sign something like that. Or you could do something a little bit different. We're all having our schools open right now all across the country. My friends passed $100 billion in the HEROES Act for it. The president said, actually, we think it takes about 105. Put that on this and help every school district in America. But my friends chose not to do that. But if you do, it'll pass here, it'll pass the Senate, the president would sign it. Or let's talk about unemployment. The president said, hey, we think the $600 extra is a little high, but while we're negotiating, by the way, we'll keep paying it. My friends on the other side said, no, they can do without the $600. And then the president said, well, we think 200 is the right number, but we could go to 4. Put that on here. Every unemployed person in America would get $400 a week. Right now, thanks to the speaker and the minority leader in the United States Senate, they're getting 0. The only help they're getting is from the president, who's using Herculean executive orders to try and get them some additional relief. So this is a joke. This is as my friend, the distinguished member from Georgia said, a theatrical moment punctuating the two conventions, the Democratic convention and leading into ours. No legislation is going to happen because my friends aren't serious about legislation. No money is going to get to the post office because it can't pass the Senate. And the post office doesn't need it anyway. So we're going to have an entertaining couple hours. Fortunately, it's on a Saturday morning, so I don't think very many Americans are going to waste their time listening to this. But my friends want to get serious, when they want to negotiate, when they want to move something to the floor.
Okay, now there you have it. I mean, that's Senator Tom Cole, actually not Senator, Representative Tom Cole for the United States House of Representatives, representing the state of Oklahoma. Now, I do want to comment a little on what he had to say because I wasn't able to pause the video and start it because I'm just giving you a basic little clip from what I found on C-SPAN, which covered the whole entire 3-hour plus vote, including the debate also as well. Now, from what he said the Democrats don't trust the head of the post office, DeJoy, but they want to give him $25 billion. So that's a good point that he made there. Why do you want to give him $25 billion? And you don't even trust this guy, okay? You subpoenaed him to the Senate. I mean, come on now. Be for real, And also, he also mentioned that if the Democrats are serious about passing this post office bill, then they should make the bill bigger, meaning they should include things in the bill that everyone agrees on, which the Democrats did not. Okay. For example, they should put a $1,200 stimulus checks in there. $3,400 for a family of 4, which the president had tweeted on Twitter just maybe a few weeks ago, saying that he's getting the Department of Treasury ready to send out those $1,200 stimulus checks, but Democrats are holding it up, right? He says that the President Trump will sign it, and that is true. We heard statements from Mark Meadows previously, maybe last week, I believe, saying that the president would sign a deal that everyone agrees on, meaning the Democrats agree on, Republicans agree on, and the White House agrees on. Okay. And everyone agrees on the $1,200 second stimulus check also as well. Now, he also mentioned that Trump agrees with $100 billion for schools to help them to reopen. Now, in the HEROES Act passed by the Democrats in May by the House of Representatives, they included $100 billion for schools. Okay. Now, Trump does not agree to give the $600 unemployment extension to make it long all the way till next year. But he did offer a temporary extension of unemployment at $600 per week for 1 or 2 weeks. But Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, they turned that down also as well. Okay. But he said that maybe we'll be able to pass a $400 unemployment extension because that's what President Trump decreed in his executive order / memorandum, that a lot of the states are picking up now, and they're starting to pay out people this unemployment money, at least a minimum $300 per week. Okay. And also, he also noted one other fact, that the only help that the American people are getting right now is coming from President Donald Trump. His executive orders, where he defer the student loan payments until next year. And also, he had made the memorandum to pay people the extra $300 or $400 per week in unemployment. So that's the only help that people are getting right now. Why? Because the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, has not passed any bill to help the American people. Okay, so far they have just pretty much tried to bail out the post office by giving them $25 billion. Okay, now he also noticed that the Democrats are really not even serious about this bill that they passed in the House today, because if they were serious about it, they would put other things in the bill that the White House and Republicans agree upon, so that way it can get passed through the Senate right away, and that way President Trump can also sign it as soon as possible, which can happen if they were to do that. So I'm not trying to bash too hard on the Democrats, but after yesterday and the day before, actually most of this week, I have no choice but to bash the Democrats right now, because they are not acting like they want to help the American people. Okay, now today, the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, he said that he attempted to meet with Speaker Nancy Pelosi today to discuss moving forward with the next stimulus package, as negotiations have remained stalled since August 7th, that Friday. This was reported from The Hill. Pelosi, however, was not made available when Meadows had arrived. Now, he had said, he told reporters today, "I will reach out to the speaker. I went by. She was in a meeting, and certainly as Secretary Steven Mnuchin and I, as you know, the secretary reached out a few weeks ago. She made it clear at that point that there was no real need to continue to vote." He was referring to Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. But we're taking this vote on the House floor as a real willingness on her part to look at a more targeted solution. I know I've talked to a number of Senate colleagues as well about a more targeted solution to meet the needs. Let's at least pass what we all agree to, and then leave the things that we don't agree to, perhaps a more laborious negotiations. Okay. Now, he showed up with no notice. The speaker was in a leadership meeting that was said by a senior Democratic aide. Now, basically, he went on to say that if it's urgent enough to come back today on a Saturday, you know, hurting small businesses and people that are hurt without jobs are certainly a priority as well. Meadows said this. He was referring to Pelosi's decision to call the House back to Washington for a rare Saturday session today. And the House voted and passed a $25 billion bill for the post office that was passed in the House of Representatives today. But earlier today, Pelosi held a press conference in the Capitol, and she rejected Meadows' offer outright, decreeing the absence of key components contained in the Democrats' HEROES Act, including new funding for testing, food stamps, renters, and state and local governments, while referring to Trump's chief of staff as what's his name. She said of his proposal, "That's totally unacceptable. You listed some things that what's his name put forth. He didn't say anything about schools. He didn't say anything about crushing the virus. He didn't say anything about people who are being evicted. He didn't say anything about food insecurity among millions of America's children. He didn't say anything about state and local governments." He's talking about Mark Meadows. Now, Meadows said that he sees a potential for common ground in areas that some perceive as uphill battles. He said, "I even think that we can come up with an agreement on stimulus checks to Americans and enhance unemployment. Those issues are not as divisive as we might think. And then lastly, I think there's a willingness, a real willingness to get help with our kids, whether it be with schools and the funding for schools or the funding for daycare in this unprecedented time. And so we've made great progress on all of those areas, and yet the talks continue to be stalled over a number that continues to get articulated by Democrats here in Congress that really doesn't have a basis in terms of what supports those numbers. And Meadows, he did not rule out the possibility of additional executive action on the part of President Trump if Congress cannot reach a consensus on a bill. He said, listen, we are always looking at options that we can deploy from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Never underestimate the dysfunction of Congress, and never underestimate the ability of this president to try to figure out a way to meet the needs of the American people. So basically, what I see there, folks, my take on all of this, right, is that everyone wants something, okay? The White House, they want PPP funding, more money for small businesses. They want a $1,200 stimulus check passed and $3,400 for a family of four. That was mentioned by President Trump. And President Trump numerous times has said that he wants to pass a $1,200 stimulus check. He wants that passed. Okay, the Republicans, 30% of the Republicans in the Senate want a second stimulus check pass. Okay, Democrats, of course, they want a second stimulus check pass, but they also want the $25 billion for the post office, and they want the $600 in unemployment. Okay, and the Republicans in the Senate, they also want liability protections for businesses. So we know what the White House wants, or some of it. We know what some of what the Republicans want. We know what some of the Democrats want. Now, why don't we put this all together and pass something? Okay, that would be a great idea. I think that's what they should do. Okay, when this bill that was passed in the House to give the post office $25 billion, when this bill reaches the Senate, which it will, okay, because the HEROES Act reached the Senate, even though the Senate never picked it up and said it was dead on arrival. Okay, when this post office bill reaches the Senate, I hope and I pray that the Republicans in the Senate, they look at this bill, and even though they may not agree with this bill, they go ahead and see that as an opportunity for them to pass something else to help the American people. Maybe they can put the $1,200 stimulus checks in there with an amendment. Maybe they can put maybe the $400 per week unemployment extension, maybe till next year in there. As an amendment also as well. Maybe they can put $100 billion in funding for the schools in there also as well. And maybe send it back down to the House, and hopefully the House of Representatives will be able to pass that, and it can go to the president's desk, and the president can sign it, and we can get our stimulus checks, okay? And hopefully we can get them in September, because as you guys all know, August, getting a stimulus check in August, a second stimulus check, is pretty much almost impossible right now. Okay, all the time frames and deadlines have lapsed, and we know how long it takes the Department of Treasury to send out these checks. So the soonest we can get our second stimulus check would be in September. But that's my take on all of this, and hopefully it all pans out that way. Okay, but I can tell you guys, as I've been telling you guys from day one when I first started making these stimulus check update videos, I believe that stimulus checks are coming. They're still coming. Stimulus checks are still on the way. Keep up the faith, people. We're going to get our stimulus checks. I believe that deeply in my heart. And make sure that you join our Facebook group so that way you can get more stimulus check updates, to join our community. So that way we can have all fellowship together and discuss any and all information concerning the first stimulus check and the possible second stimulus check. And from all of us here at the How to Get an 800 Credit Score LLC family, stay safe, be blessed, and we'll see you in tomorrow's stimulus check update video. But bye for now. My name is Lyndon Baptiste, and on this channel we talk about ways to increase your credit score, build credit, and get approved for the lowest payments on mortgages and lines of credit, travel the world for free, earn extra money with cash back. And if that interests you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll never miss a single video as we make them.